During Christmas dinner my brother announced his engagement, and when his fiancée walked in, I realized she was the same woman I secretly dated last year. 3 days ago, I was sitting at my parents' dining table, carving turkey like nothing had changed. My wife Sarah was laughing at my dad's terrible jokes. Our twin daughters were fighting over who got the bigger drumstick. Normal Christmas chaos. Then my brother walked in with his mystery fiancée. The woman who destroyed my marriage without even knowing it was standing in my childhood dining room, wearing an engagement ring for my little brother. Her name is Emma. Last Christmas she was just some girl I met at a work conference. This Christmas she's about to become my sister-in-law. And nobody knows we spent 6 months together behind my wife's back. Let me back. Last January, I was feeling invisible. Sarah had thrown herself into her promotion at the law firm. The girls were busy with middle school drama. I was just the guy who paid bills and fixed broken faucets. 42 years old and feeling like furniture in my own house. The conference was in Denver. Marketing strategy seminar that my company forced on me. Emma was presenting on social media engagement. 28, brilliant, and she laughed at my jokes during the networking mixer. When she suggested drinks after her presentation I should have said no. Should have mentioned my wife, should have shown her pictures of my daughters. Instead I convinced it was just networking. Professional development, harmless conversation with an intelligent colleague. That first night we talked until 2 a.m. in the hotel bar. About everything except the wedding ring I kept twisting on my finger. She was funny and sharp and made me feel like I mattered again. Like I was more than just Sarah's husband or the girl's dad. Nothing happened that night. I went back to my room and called Sarah, told her about the boring presentations and overpriced hotel food. Lead through my teeth while my heart hammered against my ribs. Emma and I exchanged business cards. Professional networking I told. Then we started texting about work projects. Then about books we were reading. Then about how lonely we both felt in crowds. By March, I was driving 2 hours to meet her for lunch meetings that lasted until dinner. By April I was telling Sarah I had weekend client calls when I was really in Emma's apartment, pretending to be single. The guilt was constant, a stone in my stomach every time Sarah asked about my day, every time the girls hugged me goodnight. But Emma made me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. She thought I was separated, going through an amicable divorce. I let her believe it because the truth was too, that I was a coward who couldn't face being ordinary, who chose excitement over integrity. We talked about everything except why I never invited her to my place. Why she couldn't have my home number. Why I was always checking my phone during our dates. Emma was falling in love with a version of me that didn't exist, a man who was free to love her back instead of stealing moments between family dinners and school plays. In June she started talking about introducing me to her family. Meeting her brother who she absolutely adored. The brother who was apparently some hotshot in tech, recently moved back home after years in Silicon Valley. I made excuses. Work was crazy. Family drama. I needed more time to finalize my divorce. By August the lies were getting harder to track. Sarah was asking why I seemed distracted. The girls wanted to know why daddy was always on his phone. Emma was getting frustrated with my scheduling conflicts and last-minute cancellations. I was drowning in my own deception but I couldn't stop. Couldn't give the way Emma looked at me like I hummed the moon. Couldn't go back to being invisible in my own. Then in September, Emma's brother came to visit. She was so excited for me to meet him. Set this whole dinner thing. I panicked and said I had food. Spent the evening texting her from my bathroom while Sarah made the girls' Halloween costumes downstairs. That was the beginning of the end with Emma. She started pulling back, questioning my excuses, wondering out loud why our relationship felt like a secret. In November she ended it. Said she couldn't be with someone who wouldn't let her into his real. That she deserved better than stolen afternoons and half-truths. She was right, but I was too selfish to admit it. I begged her to reconsider, made more promises I couldn't keep. She blocked my number and disappeared from my like smoke. I back into being the perfect husband and father. Took Sarah on surprise date nights. Helped with homework every evening. Pretended the 6 months with Emma had been some kind of fever dream. But Emma had changed something in me. Made me realize how much of I'd buried under responsibility and routine. I started resenting Sarah for things that weren't her fault. Started feeling trapped in I'd chosen. The guilt was eating me alive, but I convinced that what Sarah didn't know couldn't hurt. That I could carry this secret forever and spare everyone the pain of the truth. I thought I'd gotten away with it. Then my brother texted the family group chat 3 weeks ago. Bringing someone special to Christmas dinner. Can't wait for all to meet her. Mike had been single for years. Focused on his career. Building his startup from nothing into something worth millions. We'd all given on him ever settling down. Mom had stopped asking about grandchildren from his side of the family. When he walked into the dining room holding hands with Emma, time stopped. She saw me at exactly the same moment. The color drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. She looked from me to Sarah to our girls and I watched her piece together every lie I'd ever told. Emma, Mike said, beaming with pride, meet my family. This is my brother David, his wife Sarah, and their daughters Katie and Melissa. Emma's voice was barely a whisper when she said hello. Her hand trembled when Sarah hugged her and said how excited she was to have another woman in the family. I wanted to disappear, to sink through the floor and never exist again. Instead I had to sit across the dinner table from the woman I'd lied to for 6 months while my wife planned their engagement party. Emma barely spoke during dinner. When she did her voice was hollow, mechanical. She kept glancing at me with this expression I'll never forget. Not anger. Not just absolute disgust. After dessert Mike cornered me in the kitchen. Emma seems off tonight. I'm worried she's having second thoughts about meeting everyone. Her good with people Dave. Think could talk to her. Make her feel welcome. I wanted to laugh, or scream, or confess everything right there and watch my world in real time. Instead I said I'd try to help. When I found Emma on the back porch, she was staring at the snow falling under the porch light. She didn't look at me when I stepped outside. How long? She asked quietly. Long what? How long have been married David? Because those girls aren't toddlers. My throat felt like sandpaper. 15 years. She laughed but there was no humor in it. 15 years. God I'm such an Emma. I can explain. Explain what? She finally looked at me and her eyes were filled with tears. Explain how lied to me every single day for 6 months. How let me fall in love with someone who doesn't exist. I never meant for this to happen. Which part? Meeting me, or falling for brother? I couldn't answer that. Couldn't explain how cosmic joke cruel enough to twist everything into this impossible knot. I love him, she whispered. I actually love Mike. And now I have to look at his brother's face for the rest of mine and remember what a fool made me. She wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders. I'm gonna marry him, David. Because he's nothing like, he's honest and kind and he deserves better than having his happiness destroyed by mistakes. Gonna tell him. I should. Her voice was like steel. I should walk in there right now and tell entire family exactly who really are. Let wife and daughters see the man they're living with. My heart stopped. But I won't, she continued. Not because deserve my silence. Because they don't deserve to have their Christmas, their family, their lives destroyed by choices. That's the difference between us, David. I actually care about the people I claim to love. She moved toward the door then stopped. If ever try to contact me again I will tell Mike everything. Stay away from me. Stay away from my relationship. And maybe try being the husband and father pretended to be when we're with me. The door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like a coffin lid. I stayed on that porch until my fingers went numb from the cold, watching my brother through the kitchen window as he helped Emma with her coat, seeing how gentle he was with her. How she smiled at him like he'd hung the stars. The same way she used to smile at me when she thought I was worth loving. Now I'm sitting in my basement at almost 4 a.m., typing this confession to strangers on the internet because I can't tell the truth to the people who matter most. In 6 months, Emma will be my sister-in-law. I'll walk her down the aisle at their wedding because Mike asked me to be his best man. I'll give a speech about love and commitment while drowning in my own lies. And every family gathering for the rest of I'll have to look at the woman I betrayed and pretend I'm happy for them both. The worst part, I am happy for them. Mike deserves someone who will love him without conditions or lies. Emma deserves someone who won't hide her away like a shameful secret. They deserve each other, and I deserve this I've created. It's been 3 weeks since Christmas dinner, and I'm watching my disintegrate in slow motion. Emma kept her word. She hasn't told Mike about us. But her silence is somehow worse than if she'd exposed everything. She's turned our secret into a weapon, and she's using it to destroy me one family gathering at a time. New Year's Eve at my parents' house. Mike brought Emma again. She was different this time. Warmer with everyone except me. She hugged Sarah like they were old friends. Got down on the floor to play board games with my daughters. Made my mom laugh until she cried with stories about Mike's cooking disasters. She was perfect. The ideal future daughter-in-law. And every time she smiled at my family she'd catch my eye for just a second. Long enough for me to see the ice-cold hatred underneath. The girls adore her. Katie keeps asking when Aunt Emma is coming over again. Melissa wants to know if she can be a flower girl in the wedding. She's so cool, Dad, Katie said on the drive home. Way cooler than Mike deserves, if she only knew. Sarah's been planning their engagement party like it's her own daughter's wedding. She and Emma text constantly now. Shopping trips, lunch dates, wedding Pinterest boards. Sarah keeps gushing about how lucky we are to have Emma joining the family. She's exactly what Mike needed. Sarah said last Tuesday while addressing party invitations. Someone grounded and genuine. No games, no drama. Just honest love. I had to leave the room. The engagement party was this past Saturday. Held at that fancy country club where Sarah and I had our own reception 15 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. I gave the toast, stood in front of 80 people and talked about love conquering all. About finding perfect match. About the importance of trust in a relationship. Emma stared at me the entire time with this ghost of a smile. Like she was daring me to on my own words. Mike cried during my speech. Actually cried. Said afterward that having his big brother's approval meant everything to him. I wanted to right there on the spot. But the real started when people began sharing stories about the happy couple. How they met, their first date, the proposal. Mike told everyone how Emma had been, going through a tough breakup. When they first connected through mutual friends. Some who was stringing her along. Mike set his arm around Emma's waist. Guy was probably married or something. Can imagine being such a coward. Emma's eyes found mine across the room. Yes, she said quietly. I can imagine exactly that kind of coward. The room laughed because they thought she was being supportive of Mike's righteous anger. I felt like I was going to throw. Later during the dancing Emma asked me for a private word. We stepped onto the club's terrace, and for a moment I thought maybe she was ready to call a truce. Daughters are beautiful, she said without preamble. Katie has eyes. Melissa has stubborn chin. Emma they think the world of. I watched them during speech. They were so proud of their dad there, talking about love and commitment. The way she said it made my skin crawl. What do you want me to say? Nothing, I just want to understand something. She leaned against the railing, looking out at the snow-covered golf course. I used to think about meeting family. During those months when I believed we're divorced, I'd picture Sunday dinners and birthday parties. Maybe even being a stepmom someday. My throat tightened. I imagined what it would be like to love children, to be part of their lives, to help Katie with her math homework and teach Melissa how to braid friendship bracelets. Emma please. But never let me be part of their world, because knew I'd see the truth. That word some lonely divorced dad, were a liar who was perfectly happy to keep me as a dirty secret forever. She turned to face me, and her composure finally cracked. Do you have any idea what it's like to look at those girls and know that their father used me, that he let me fall in love with a fantasy while he went home to their mother every night? I never wanted to pipe, but did. And now I have to pretend to be their future aunt, while knowing exactly what kind of man raised them. They're good kids, Emma. Whatever think of me think they deserve better than. Her voice was like broken glass. And so does Sarah, and so does Mike. But mostly I think don't deserve any of them. She started to walk back inside then stopped. Oh, and David. Mike's planning to ask to be his best man next week. Should start practicing speech about loyalty and brotherhood. The official best man request came 3 days later. Mike took me out for beers and gave this whole emotional speech about how I'd always been his hero growing. How having me stand beside him at his wedding would make everything perfect. I said yes because what choice did I have? Saying no would raise questions I can't answer. So now I'm planning a bachelor party for my brother, who's marrying the woman I cheated with. I'm supposed to organize clubs and poker nights to celebrate him finding true love with my ex-mistress. The universe has a sick sense of humor. But the worst part isn't the parties or the speeches or even having to pretend I'm happy for them. The worst part is watching Sarah fall apart, and not being able to help because I'm the reason it's happening. She doesn't know about Emma and me, but she knows something's wrong. I've been distant since Christmas. Distracted. Guilty. She keeps asking if I'm okay, if there's something I want to talk about. Last night she cornered me in our bedroom. David, I need to be honest with me. Are having an affair. My heart stopped. For a second, I thought about telling it all out and accepting whatever came next. Instead I lied. Again. No, Sarah. There's no one else. Technically true now, but the worst kind of truth. Then what's wrong with? I've been acting strange for a month, ever since that conference in Denver. She remembered the conference. Of course she did. It's just work stress, I said. The Peterson account is me. She studied my face for a long time. I feel like I'm losing, like I'm already gone and just going through the motions. The thing is, she wasn't wrong. I had been going through the motions since Emma. But not because I didn't love Sarah, because I'd proven to that I was capable of betraying her, and that knowledge had poisoned everything. I'm here. I told her. I'm not going anywhere. But even as I said it, I could see the doubt in her eyes. 15 years of marriage, and she could feel the lie even if she couldn't name it. This morning, she made an appointment with a marriage counselor. For both of us, she said. I think we need help. So now I get to sit in therapy sessions and pretend our problems are communication issues and busy schedules. While the real problem is that I'm a selfish coward who destroyed everything good and is for 6 months of feeling special. The girls are starting to notice the tension. Katie asked me yesterday if mommy and I are getting divorced like her friend Madison's parents. No, sweetheart, I told her. Mommy and daddy love each other very much. She looked at me with those serious 12-year-old eyes and said, but Madison's parents said that too, right until they didn't anymore. I'm supposed to protect my daughters from pain, but I'm the one who's going to cause it. When this all comes out, and it will come out eventually, they'll learn that their father is exactly the kind of man they should never trust. Emma texted me yesterday, first direct contact since New Year's. Just 5 words, Mike wants kids right away. I stared at that message for an hour before deleting it. She wasn't sharing good news, she was twisting the reminding me that she and Mike are planning a future while I'm watching my past destroy my present. They want to start trying for babies on their honeymoon. Mike told me this at lunch yesterday, grinning like a teenager. Can't imagine Dave. Little ones running around at family gatherings. Girls will be the best big cousins. I smiled and congratulated him while my stomach churned. Emma's children will be my nieces and nephews. I'll have to hold them, love them, watch them grow, all while carrying the secret of what I did to their mother. The wedding is in 6 months. I've already started writing my best man speech. Page after page of lies about love and commitment and finding soulmate. Sarah found the draft yesterday and read it while I was at work. This is beautiful, she said when I got home. Really beautiful. Should write something like this for us someday. For our 20th anniversary or something. The irony would be funny if it wasn't destroying my soul. Every night I lie in bed next to my wife and stare at the ceiling, counting all the ways this could. Emma could change her mind and tell Mike everything. Sarah could put together the timeline and realize I was lying about the Denver conference. The girls could overhear the wrong conversation and ask the wrong questions. Or worst of all, I could under the pressure and confess everything. Just to stop the constant weight of carrying this secret. But I won't. Because I'm too much of a coward to face the consequences of what I've done. So I'll keep planning Mike's bachelor party and practicing my wedding toast. I'll keep lying to Sarah and disappointing my daughters. I'll keep pretending I'm happy for the perfect couple while dying inside every time I see them together. Because this is what I chose, this is what I earned. And Emma was right about one thing. They all deserve better than me. I'm writing this from a motel room that smells like cigarettes and broken dreams. It's been 4 days since my world ended, and I still can't believe how fast everything fell apart. It wasn't Emma who destroyed me in the end. It was my own daughter. The bachelor party was last Saturday. I'd planned everything perfectly, private room at Mike's favorite steakhouse. Poker tournament, his college buddies flying in from 3 different states. I was going to be the perfect best man one last time before the wedding. I never made it to the restaurant. Instead, I spent Saturday night in the emergency room, holding Katie's hand while doctors stitched her forehead after she fell off her bike. Accident, she was showing off for the neighbor kids and hit a patch of gravel wrong. Nothing serious, but she was scared and wanted her dad. So I canceled the bachelor party and stayed with my daughter like any decent father would do. Mike was understanding. Family comes first, he said. We can reschedule. But Katie overheard me apologizing to him on the phone. Heard me explain about the bachelor party and how sorry I was for missing such an important night. Dad, she said once the doctors were done, what's a bachelor party? I explained it was like a celebration for the groom before the wedding. A chance for his friends and family to have fun together. So Uncle Mike's friends were celebrating him finding Aunt Emma. Something like that, sweetheart. Katie was quiet for a long time, that serious expression she gets when she's working through something complicated. Dad, how did Uncle Mike meet Aunt Emma? Because at Christmas I heard Grandma asking, but Aunt Emma got all weird and changed the subject. My went cold. I don't know, Katie. Why don't ask Uncle Mike? I did. He said through mutual friends after she got out of a bad relationship. But then I asked Aunt Emma the same thing, and she said something different. The room felt like it was spinning. What did she say? She said she met him through work stuff. And then she looked really sad and said some people aren't who they pretend to be. I tried to keep my voice steady. Katie, sometimes adults don't remember details the same way. But Dad, that's not a detail. That's like completely different stories. Either they met through friends or through work. Right, my 12-year-old daughter was unraveling my lies with pure logic. And I couldn't stop her. Maybe misunderstood. I didn't misunderstand anything. Katie sat in her hospital bed, looking way older than 12. And there's other stuff that doesn't make sense either. What kind of stuff? Like how Aunt Emma knew where everything was in Grandma's kitchen at Christmas, like she'd been there before. But Uncle Mike said it was her first time meeting the family. Oh God. During one of our secret meetings I'd shown Emma pictures of family gatherings. The kitchen where Mom always hosted holidays. Emma had studied those photos like she was memorizing a map of mine. And remember when gave that toast at the engagement party, about love being honest and true and stuff. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Aunt Emma was crying, but not happy crying. She looked angry, really angry, at Dad. I saw her face. The beeping from the heart monitor next to Katie's bed seemed to get louder. My hands were shaking. Katie, I think you're imagining. I'm not imagining anything. Her voice was sharp now. Think I'm, but I'm not. I notice things. Like how act all weird whenever Aunt Emma's around, and how she never looks at directly, and how Mom keeps asking if we're okay because I've been acting strange since Christmas. The walls of the hospital room felt like they were closing in. And know what else I noticed? That conference went to last year. The one in Denver. Came home with a keycard and wallet. From the same hotel where Uncle Mike proposed to Aunt Emma. My heart stopped. Completely stopped. How to know about the hotel? Because Uncle Mike posted pictures on Instagram. The Grand Vista Resort. Same logo as the card that fell out of wallet when we're looking for insurance card. I want it to disappear. To evaporate into nothing rather than face what was coming next. Dad, Katie said quietly, and her voice had changed. Lost its childhood innocence forever. Did know Aunt Emma before Uncle Mike brought her home. I could have lied, should have lied. Made some story about business connections or coincidental stays at the same hotel. Instead I looked into my daughter's eyes that trusted me completely, that believed I was a hero and watched that trust in real time. Yes, I whispered. Katie stared at me for a long moment, then she asked the question that shattered everything. Dad, is Aunt Emma the reason? And Mom, at night when think we're sleeping, I broke. Completely, utterly broke. Started crying right there in that sterile hospital room while my 12-year-old daughter figured out that her father was a liar and a cheat. Katie, I can explain. We're with her, weren't, before Uncle Mike. That's why she acts weird around. That's why I've been acting weird since Christmas, because she couldn't say the word, couldn't bring herself to call Emma what she really was. Katie, please, does Mom know? No. Does Uncle Mike know? Katie was crying now too. Not from her injury but from understanding that her family was built on lies. Cheated on Mom with Uncle Mike's fiancée. The words hung in the air like a sentence. I wanted to explain about feeling invisible, about Emma making me feel special, about how it just happened and spiraled out of control. But looking at my daughter's face, I realized how pathetic all those excuses really were. I made a terrible mistake, Katie. The worst mistake of my mistake. Her voice cracked. A mistake is forgetting to take out the trash. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. This is going to destroy everything, isn't it? I couldn't answer because we both knew she was right. Katie was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke again, her voice was small and broken. I can't look at the same way anymore, Dad. I can't pretend I don't know. Katie, please. Can't tell anyone. It would so many people. Already people. She exploded. Mom, every day she doesn't know the truth. Or Uncle Mike by letting him marry someone who was with. Or me and Melissa by making us live in a house full of lies. She was right about everything, and hearing it from my own daughter made it 1,000 times worse. What am I supposed to do now, Dad? Smile at family dinners and pretend I don't know. Watch Uncle Mike give speeches about trust and honesty at his wedding. Watch Mom plan Aunt Emma's bridal shower. I didn't have an answer. There was no answer that didn't destroy someone. Katie turned away from me. I want to go home. I want Mom. The ride home was silent. Katie stared out the window while I tried to figure out how to fix something that couldn't be fixed. But Katie made the choice for me. The next morning at breakfast, she looked across the table at Sarah and said, Mom, I need to tell something about Dad. Sarah looked from her coffee. What about Dad? Katie glanced at me once and I saw a flash of the little girl who used to think I could fix anything. Then it was gone. He lied about a lot of things. I started. No, Dad. I can't carry this around. It's too heavy. And then my 12-year-old daughter told my wife everything. About the hotel key card. About Emma's strange behavior. About the timeline that didn't add. About the questions I couldn't answer without admitting the truth. Sarah listened in absolute silence. When Katie finished, Sarah turned to look at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Is she right, David? Did have an affair with Emma? I could have denied it. Katie didn't have proof. Just suspicions and coincidences. I could have gasoline lit my own daughter, made her seem paranoid and confused. Instead I told the truth. Finally, yes, Sarah didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. Didn't collapse in dramatic sobs. She just nodded once and said, get out. Sarah, please. Right out now. I tried to explain, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness. Sarah sat there like stone while I blubbered through 6 months of justifications and excuses. When I finally stopped talking, she said, done. I nodded. Because I need to understand something. This isn't just about cheating. This is about letting Mike fall in love with Mistress. This is about sitting in marriage counseling and letting me blame for problems caused. This is about turning our daughter into an accomplice to lies. She looked at Katie, who was crying quietly. Baby did the right thing. This isn't fault or secret to keep. Then she looked back at me. Have until tonight to tell Mike everything. If don't, I will. I left, packed a bag and drove to this motel because I couldn't face going to my parents' house or staying with friends who would ask questions. That was 4 days ago. I still haven't told Mike. Because I'm a coward. Even now, even after losing everything, I'm still too much of a coward to face the final consequence. Sarah filed for divorce yesterday. I know because she had the papers delivered to my motel room. Katie and Melissa are staying with Sarah's sister while the lawyers figure out custody arrangements. I tried calling Katie to apologize, to explain, to somehow repair what I'd broken between us. She answered but didn't say anything. Just listened while I cried and begged for forgiveness. Finally she said, Dad, I love. But I don't trust anymore. And I don't think I ever will again. Then she hung. Mike's wedding is in 3 weeks. He's been calling and texting, worried about me since I missed the bachelor party and then disappeared. He thinks I'm having some kind of breakdown. He has no idea that his breakdown is coming. Sarah sent one final text yesterday. Have until Friday to tell him. Or I tell the whole family at the rehearsal dinner. Choice. So I have 3 days to find the courage to destroy my brother's happiness. To watch him learn that the woman he loves was sleeping with his hero while planning their future together. To see him realize that his perfect love story was built on my betrayal. Emma hasn't contacted me. Hasn't tried to manage this situation or protect herself. I think she's just waiting for the explosion. Maybe she's even looking forward to it. Her final revenge for what I put her through. I keep thinking about that night on my parents' porch when she told me I didn't deserve any of them. She was right. I don't deserve my daughter's love or my wife's forgiveness or my brother's respect. I don't deserve Emma's silence or my family's trust. I had everything a man could want, and I hid away for 6 months of feeling special. Now I'm sitting in a motel room that costs $60 a night, writing my confession to strangers on the internet, because I've lost the right to talk to anyone who actually knows me. In 3 days, I have to look my little brother in the eye and explain why his perfect fiancé flinches every time I walk into a room. I have to watch him learn that the person he trusted most in the world is exactly the kind of man he always thought I was too good to be. And after that, I'll have to live with being the brother who destroyed Mike's faith and love, the father who taught his daughters that men can't be trusted, and the husband who proved that 15 years of marriage means nothing when someone prettier comes along. The worst part isn't losing everything, it's knowing I lost it for nothing at all. Emma was never going to leave her for me. I was never going to leave mine for her. We were just two broken people using each other to feel less alone. And I was too selfish to see that it would cost everyone else everything they believed about love and family and trust. I used to think the worst thing that could happen was getting caught. Turns out the worst thing is having to live with who really are when all the lies are gone.